Yeah, so apparently I've hit my limit on how many pings I can do. So,
Yeah,
Ben,
just get. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing my ping and just give them a few more minutes to get up in here, and a lot of them is caught up in that few of those rooms, so I'm gonna
yeah,
come over
yeah,
here.
nah, it's all good. I mean, I was gonna say, but let me, in the meantime, let me know when you're ready. So,
Okay,
you know,
yeah,
all right.
yeah, I had to actually, brother just coming off suspension, so
Okay,
yeah,
cool, cool.
yeah, I had to track down some of the videos and catch up and do some upload it. So a lot of things is uploaded. I think I got to get the gardening one, and this one will be, added once we're done. So
Okay, no problem.
then we'll be up to date with everything.
Yeah, no problem. It's all good.
Con.
So,
Yeah,
thank
and
y'all
I'm
for.
I'm so I'm sorry. I'm running. So whenever you want to get started, everything is running.
Okay, I mean, like I said, we can. I give people another minute, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, like I said, the hallway is packed with other rooms for edification. So again, but we speak to those who want to listen. So it's all good. So we'll get started in about 60 seconds. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Um, Ben, you ready for the recording?
Con with set.
Okay. So, welcome back to tonight's lesson of Thy Kingdom Come. First, we want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Shout out to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Greetings and blessings. Tonight, will be this is the Analyzing Jacob's Trouble series. So, over the past 10 episodes, well, we've done a Jacob's Trouble series where we covered quite a bit of information regarding Jacob's trouble. Those videos are on King Ben's website. Everything from hyperinflation to bug out bags to famine, food preparation, skills, and ways to build your faith, things of that nature. Then kind of switched gears into analyzing Jacob's trouble. This is a new segment regarding Jacob's Trouble. It's where we take various films and TV shows to extrapolate relevant lessons regarding Jacob's Trouble and what we can learn from it and apply it in the future. Episode 1 of Analyzing Jacob's Trouble, we covered an episode from the Twilight Zone and a short film called Aftermath. In episode 2, we covered the movie The Crazies, which is a 2010 remake of a 1977 version. Episode 3, we covered a short film called Leftovers. In episode 4, we covered a short film called Amber. So, tonight, welcome to episode 5 of Analyzing Jacob's Trouble. Tonight, we are covering a short film or a web series from the Walking Dead universe called Passage. In the opening scene, we see someone walking around in a hazmat suit in what it appears to be a overran FEMA camp. We see the brown tents, military trucks, and we can assure that this is not a military base but a makeshift camp that was constructed during the early stages of the zombie outbreak. Okay. Now, those FEMA camps will become death camps for all of those who are not of the remnant of Israel. Now, for those who aren't rounded up, those places will be set up with the advertisement of come one, come all. We have food, water, security, and medicine, essentially ringing the dinner bell to the desperate and unprepared. If you aren't rounded up, please do not go to the stadiums, high schools, abandoned shopping centers, wherever these places pop up. Don't go because don't go, but know that some of us will probably be rounded up and some of us by some sort of divine intervention may end up in these places. But fear not, the Lord will be with us if we do end up in these camps. However, if we do end up in these camps, do not eat the food that is served to us. This is coming from 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 67. Behold, God himself is the judge. Fear him. Leave off from your sins and forget your iniquities, to meddle no more with them forever. So shall God lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. So at some point, whether you are here voluntarily, some sort of divine intervention, or you are rounded up, which in either case, divine intervention would be the reason we are in these places. You will have a some option to consent, and do not consent because you will be had in derision and reproach and trodden underfoot. Verse 70, for there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Okay. So we see the assurance. So we see the assurance of protection from all trouble, even if we end up in these FEMA camps. He's still going to be there, and we have to have faith with that confident assurance, okay, that he's going to deliver us when it's time. Now, back to passage. We see this person in a hazmat suit killing zombies. Now, as this person in a hazmat suit, we also see a woman hiding behind a truck. We later see a sister whose name is, we discover her name is Sierra. Now, she comes behind the other woman. We later find out her name is Gabby with the knife, and Sierra asks, "Why are you following me?" Now, Gabby is scared and she says, I see you can handle them. I just can't kill them. As Sierra throws Gabby into a zombie, and a zombie who is in a hazmat suit, and she freaks out. Now, at this point, I think this is a way for Sierra to see if Gabby was lying and wanted to see her reaction. Sierra kills the zombie and walks away, and Gabby begs to go with Sierra. Sierra has her hair in a ponytail, which is a good thing considering the situation. Long hair, as some of these movies we've seen, some of the female heroines or antagonists have their hair down, which is just unrealistic for a post-apocalyptic Jacob's Trouble combat scenario. So I did like the fact that she had her hair in a ponytail. Now, the woman, Gabby, says, please, I'll die alone, which leads one to wonder, how long have you been going from group to group not contributing? Not to say just because she can't kill zombies, she can't contribute. But in this scenario, the ability to kill someone or something trying to kill you needs to be something that you are ready to do when the time comes. Now, as we see in a later scene, they walk to a tower, and Gabby says, I know a place where we can go. She further explains that Mexico is safer, and that her boyfriend works for the border patrol and knows where the tunnels are that they are used that that are being used or were used for smuggling. Now, a few things here. First, Mexico wouldn't necessarily be any safer than any other country. Would necessarily be any safer. Every country will have the same problem, as we just read in 2nd Ezra 16:70. For there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So wherever Israel is, we're going to have problems. So just, we want to go to Mexico, or when we want to go down south, or we want to go to wherever you go, it will have its common problems, but also the areas and terrain and weather and time of year will have its unique set of problems. So now the tunnels are a real thing, and that's why the border wall was and is a joke, and I never took it seriously nor gave any thought. Well, I can't say any thought, gave little thought to its meaning of significance. So I guess the only thing I did say about it is, in terms of significance, is the wall isn't designed to keep people out; it's designed to keep us in. But in terms of immigrants, no, those tunnels are typically controlled by the cartel, MS-13, and the U.S. government, which usually smuggles people, drugs, and guns. So if you're ever in a so one and another thing to note about these tunnels, or any tunnel, if you are ever in a tunnel, it is important, almost vital, that you know your cardinal directions. Okay. So it amazes me how many people do not know which way they are facing, whether they're facing north, south, east, west. That will be a very important, and again, I iterate, a very vital skill to learn. If we are on walkie talkies, for example, and I don't know your area, or if you're in a forest and I say, listen, all you have to do is walk south and you will run into the river. If you go any other direction, you will not make it to the river, and I will not be able to find you. Now, with that scenario of me giving you directions on how to find me or find our camp, the walkie talkie, this is why knowing your cardinal directions without a GPS is, I can't emphasize that enough. This skill essentially will take 10 minutes to learn, and continuous practice, which that continuous practice will take about 30 seconds of knowing, of remembering where you are. And, you can practice this as you're in your house or driving around or walking around. But for the love of everything that lives, please learn your cardinal directions. So, wherever you are right now, if you do not know which way you are facing, or a general, let's start there. If you do not know which way you're facing right now, you are in trouble. So again, take that time to learn the skill. When it says, when we talk about north, south, east, west, excuse me, excuse me. When we talk about north, south, east to west, we won't always be facing true north or directly south. You'll be generally facing, if you're at an angle or whatever. But to know, which way the sun rises and which way the sun sets, and from there you could tell which way you're facing, whether it's north, south, east, or west. You know, it's it is a very a skill that people just don't know. And I'm bad with directions. But again, that's not an excuse, especially since it is something that you can easily learn. And Lord knows what's going to happen, saying, as things pick up, magnetic poles can be thrown off so your compass can, won't be help, or you may not even have a compass, or you may lose your compass. So knowing those cardinal directions, again, I could say that 1,000 times, and I still know people to this day who still do not know which way is north or which way is south. So, when you get to any location that is new, whether it's an office building or, store, you should work on orienting yourself. Just getting a baseline of which way you are, um, you know, so you can always get that continuous practice. Okay, which would be vital if you're in a tunnel and there's definitely no sun or nothing to look in the stars and nowhere to navigate. So even if we have a cyber attack or EMP, GPS will be rendered useless. Okay. Now, as they're having this conversation in the tower, Sierra says, "Well, your boyfriend didn't come back, so what does that tell you?" Now, this situation is a hard one. If someone tells you to wait here, I'll be back, instead of just saying okay, you should ask, how long do you want me to wait? And what to do if that time passes or you don't come back. So if that time passes and they say, well, if I don't come back in, 6 hours or 2 days or whatever, go here. So, if that person is out and that time passes, something happens, he gets held up, he or she knows to go to that location that, you guys talked about. So this is something that I caught during the conversation. Now, Gabby convinces Sierra to go to the border where the entrance of the tunnel would be. Now, as they're walking, they make it to a fenced area, which looks like a construction area. And as they're walking, they see a zombie chained and starts growling while lunging at the women. Now, a few things to note in this specific zombie situation. If I was to see a zombie chained, I would think that there are some other people around and they're using this zombie as an alarm. Now, we discussed in the lesson of home security on Jacob's Trouble of simple, cheap, and effective ways to create some sort of alarm systems. These are ways that we can implement this now. That we went over a couple of options: security door bars, the little door chimes that you see at stores. You can buy those on Amazon. They're cheap. They don't you don't have to plug them in. You don't need an account with ADT. Just simple ways. So, but this is just in this situation we see someone chaining a zombie. Now, Sierra is trying to get Gabby to overcome her fears by trying to kill a chained zombie. Now, not sure I would be brave enough to make this into a teaching moment at the time. Now, when she makes a weak attempt to kill the zombie, her boyfriend Colton shoots the zombie in the head. He hugs Gabby and says, "I thought I lost you in the bombs." Which, if you saw any of the Walking Dead shows, there are some scenes that in the early stages of the zombie spread or a zombie outbreak, they tried to bomb the major cities in an attempt to stop the outbreak. She then said, and we can assume that this is Atlanta. I'm not excuse me, not Atlanta, Los Angeles, because this series, The Passage, is connected with Fear the Walking Dead, which takes place in Los Angeles and Mexico, or the early seasons. And then when they were walking to the construction site, Sierra said, "Oh, I'm from Los Angeles." So we can assume that Los Angeles was one of the major cities that the U.S. government tried to bomb or did bomb to stop the outbreak. She then said, not Sierra, Gabby then said, "We waited as long as we could. You said you were coming back." Now, this is where things can get tricky. He didn't go back because he honestly thought they were dead, or he said, "F it, I'm not risking my life to make it back to them," and then try to go back to the tunnels. Based on his demeanor, I personally believe the latter, especially the way he looks at Sierra and then asks Gabby, "Who's that?" And then he asks Gabby, "Did you tell anyone else about the tunnels?" That question is key because don't expect anyone who isn't on our side, especially a heathen, to share helpful information that is not publicly known. So I got to say that again. Don't expect anyone, if it happens, it happens. Great, all praises. But don't expect anyone who isn't on our side, especially heathens, to share helpful, that's another key word, information that is not publicly known. So, in a disaster, the FEMA camps are publicly known. Everybody knows go to XYZ high school or such and such stadium. So, you know, helpful information that is not publicly known. Okay, which further strengthens my belief of his decision of not going back because he really didn't love her and he really didn't want to take the extra risk of going back. So he tells Gabby to go down to the tunnel and they will follow. She says Sierra needs to come too, and he says, "Yeah, I know. I just need to. I'm going last because I need to close the tunnel, because I need to close the tunnel, the entrance to the tunnel." He then turns to Sierra and says, "I can't let you come. You might tell others where the tunnel is," which possibly, but it really makes no sense if she's going to Mexico via the tunnels. He then raises his gun and she cuts him with her knife. Now, the knife versus gun debate, which has been studied and tested, and in this specific scenario with Colton and Sierra, the knife wins more often than the gun at close range. Now, I was surprised when I saw this, but drawing a gun, aiming, and shooting requires more steps than the knife that requires just drawing and you can cut or stab. Now, I will find that video and I'll post it in the chat. It's a really good video. They did one guy had a gun. It was a paintball gun. It wasn't, a real gun. And another guy had a plastic knife. And, they ran through a bunch of scenarios at different ranges to see, who would win. So, whether a person got off or whether the person got a cut or a stab. So, at close range, we would typically, now, if you got a shotgun or something, yeah, no, you're using buckshot is definitely, you're at more of an advantage. But even then, if it's not already drawn and you got to raise it, that could be different. But just a handgun and a knife, the experiment was a really good one. And so that was realistic. So again, in this situation, it is a realistic combat situation. Now, the part that isn't realistic is what you will see in most movies is that after she cut him, they tussle for a little bit and she stabs him in the leg during the tussle and gets down to the tunnels. In that situation, a realistic situation, she would finish him off, whether she repeatedly stabbed him or got hold of the gun and shot him, because you best believe they will try to finish you. Now, Sierra gets down to the tunnel and tells Gabby, "He tried to kill me and he left you behind." As Sierra walks away, she hits a tripwire which triggers an explosion. Now, it will be a good rule to thumb to check for traps when entering new and unexplored areas. We see that in the short film on episode 1, Aftermath. We saw the older brother, I think his name was Jim. No, Jim was the young one. The older brother, Noah, when Jim ran into the house, Noah had the handgun and was going room to room, checking, clearing rooms. So I know, that was, her tripping over a wire in the dark tunnel would be realistic, especially people just trying to move and get from the next location. But it would be a good idea just to, take that extra step of precaution, especially if you've never been there before and, it's unexplored and it's new. So traps could be waiting, not necessarily tripwires, but people with guns or dangerous animals. So now we see them recovering from the explosion, and Sierra runs away. Colt is yelling at her, and Gabby tells him, "Let her go," which told me that she sided with Colton. She didn't even ask, like, "Hey, what happened up there? Why did she try to stab you? What were you doing?" Nothing. So again, it doesn't take much for people who aren't our allies to abandon us and side with their people. That is per Isaiah chapter 13, verse 14. And it shall be as a chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and everyone flee to their own land. Okay. Now, we see Colton rubbing dirt on his wound, and I was curious about that, and I decided to look it up, and here's what I found. So let me just read you what I found. The, the question was I found on Quora. Again, this is just, a 10-minute research I did. This is not something very in depth, but this is what I found. Someone asked, is it ever a good idea to rub dirt in a wound? This is from, I guess I just can't pronounce his first name. This is Singh. He studied at the Bachelor of Technology degrees. The traditional age-old advice, if it's bad, rub some dirt on it, appears to hold some merit. If studies are to be believed, researchers at Arizona State University Biodesign Institute have been experimenting with different clays, and it appears in research presented in the journal called PLOS also. So Arizona State and this research journal did, excuse me, Salakia, did different types of study with clay. The only catch is that you are supposed to be sure about what kind of dirt you are using. It should definitely be clay and not something else, as the granulars might be too rough for the wound. This is important as any kind of dirt may be too abrasive for the wound. Coming back to the topic at hand, clays have been used as medical tools for ages, appearing in ancient medicinal texts also. They were used to treat wounds, and their usage became a common practice in the 19th century. Clay has been found to aid in healing and reducing inflammation of wounds and in pain management. Clays are considered good because some clays are rich in a certain group of metallic ions that work as antibacterial agents. That does not mean these clays are any kind of antibacterial. Some clays lack the necessary concentration of the necessary metal ions and can contain other metals as well, like cadmium, lead, mercury, and arsenic. But the researchers are quite optimistic that medicinal clay can provide widespread use in certain therapeutic roles, especially when it comes to act as banding agents. It is possible, since their absorptive and adhering characteristics make them quite ideal for sealing out external pathogens. They in turn can be used for absorbing and removing unwanted particles of or bad tissues from wounds. This process delivers a healthy dose of antibacterial ions to the affected area. So the next time around, if you are thinking about applying a batch of dirt to your wound, choose the clay wisely. And I try to find the antithesis of that. And question was asked, can dirt in an open wound cause it to get infected? To answer your question, yes. It is dangerous to get dirt into open wounds. In worst case, you could get infections. This is some German dude. Published studies of hygienic methods in early 1841. He discovered that simple hand washing reduces mortality to below 1%. So again, I thought that was interesting. I never thought about that. And for the first one I read, it depends on the type of clay that you're using. So, I think that was pretty interesting. So with that, I probably would stay away from adding dirt on the wound like we saw Colt do in this scene, unless it's clay, which again, we all should do some research to find out which clay would be best, or which clay were used in the olden days to, heal wounds. So, and again, if that's all you have, I mean, literally you don't have anything else, you don't have a few things we can, I guess real quick, we can do to discuss wound care is that you can find some suitor. If you know how to stitch, that's definitely a great one. Staples. I talked to my friend. His wife's a doctor, and she said, they will definitely use staples, in a pinch. Just get if you got a stapler and some staples, that'll close a wound. There's some suture bandages that are like, they act as like bandages, but they're, kind of have this, they kind of close. So it's kind of like a mix between a bandage and a stitch. So, the bandage goes over and you kind of pull the stitch and it kind of closes the wound. So there are certain ways you can do, and a lot of times in the olden days, when I say olden, I'm talking like our ancestors, Old Testament, Greek, Roman time. What is that word called? It's cauterized. So when cauterizing the wound is another option. So in any situation, you don't want to leave an open wound to get infected. You want to cover it, but in this situation where he covered his wound with dirt, a stab. Well, yeah, she stabbed him. So when they were tussling, Sierra stabbed him. So with the wound, he's trying to, get up and, go chase her or whatever. So, he covers it with dirt. So use it, use what you have in that scenario. But, we all should do some more research to find if clay or what type of clay is the best one and the worst one. So, but yeah, wound care is definitely another skill that we all should learn. Whether it's cauterizing, cleaning, bandaging, suturing, stapling, whatever it is. But yeah, I would also look up some. I'm not sure if that's on the website, but the first aid. So, I would, YouTube how to treat a stab wound. So, gun wounds, depending on the caliber and, what type of, all of that, those are easier to treat than, a stab wound, just from, I guess from what I've heard, from my understanding. So, back to the passage. Now, we see Sierra looking around in a different area in the tunnel, and she hides in a cart which has a zombie in it. Now, as she wrestles with the zombie, it turns to a scene with Gabby and Colton walking, and someone in the distance calls out to him. Now, he scrambles to hide Gabby in a locker, which leads me to believe that he really didn't want to go back for Gabby. The guy who calls out to Colt appears to be his supervisor and says, what was that blast? Colton kind of, dismisses it. I don't know. I heard it too. And the guy says, if you see anyone, finish them. And Colton says, yes, sir. Now, during this time, we see Gabby in the locker area looking for a weapon, which is smart. She then gets the feeling that Colton is full of crap, and she asks him, why did he lie? He says this tunnel is more than a tunnel, it's a bunker. We can survive here, which is a very, again, depending on type of scenario and where this is, a tunnel would be a good, type of bunker. You can go from, you can have different entrances and exits, and you could store supplies down there. So there's, me personally, I would not, you know, think, if people are wanted to buy a bunker or whatever, I wouldn't say start building tunnels. And especially if we're living in the U.S., it could be illegal. You might, hit a cable line or something. It's not, I personally wouldn't invest in a bunker. But in this specific situation, it wasn't a bad idea, considering, this is the Walking Dead universe. So that was not a bad idea. So using the tunnels as a bunker. She pulls a knife on him and says, you were going to leave me to die. Which we all see as we're watching this, that she finally gets it. Which, given the way he talked to his commander, he could have been told that that the bunker is only for us and no one else. Which, given the fact that he knew Gabby was in the area of the bombings, He could have believed that she was dead. However, in either event, whether his commander told him it's only for us, don't tell anyone else, or he believed that she died in the bombing, it's reasonable to believe that he didn't want to risk losing his spot in the bunker or losing his life trying to make it back to Gabby and then making it back to the tunnels. Both of these possibilities speak to self-preservation. Now, that self-preservation mentality, a lot of people will have that during this time. You see, especially as we enter into Jacob's trouble, the self-preservation mentality will definitely kick in. Now, she pulls a knife and they talk. As they're having this conversation, she turns her back and walks away. Which, in most situations, whether we are in pre or post-apocalyptic, pulling a weapon on someone or when a weapon is pulled on you, you need to be prepared to take it to the next level. Now, we've seen situations where some people have pulled weapons. We've seen some videos where some people have pulled a weapon and nothing happened, all praises. But we've seen tons of other situations, whether it's law enforcement or just people with guns. When second they pulled out their gun, shots rang out. So again, this is part movie. You pull a knife on someone, you talk and walk away, and then there's a tussle. But these shows and movies where there's a Mexican standoff and there's some sort of conversation and resolve is not reality. In the next scene, we see a cart roll and stop in front of another man in the tunnel, and another guy comes where meets that other man, and this is where both of them are opening the covering of that cart, and Sierra and the other zombie arises, and the zombie bites one of the men, and Sierra kills the other. She then climbs up the ladder and is about to escape until she hears Gabby yelling. She stops climbing and thinks for a moment before she goes back to help Gabby. And when she goes back to help Gabby, they both, she chokes him and, Gabby stabs Colton. Now, that spirit of trying to help everyone, especially people from the other nations, is going to get a lot of us killed. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 15. Everyone that is found shall be thrusted through. Everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So, you see Sierra, she appears to be an Israelite. That spirit of, we got to help everyone. And, initially at the very beginning, she was like, screw you, leave me alone. But, at this situation, as she's climbing out of the tunnel, that, she has that, let me go help her. But as we know, in this, Jacob's trouble scenario, per the scriptures, people who are joining are people who are joining to those who are fleeing, fleeing to their own people, will get thrusted through. Now, not saying that Gabby's an Edomite, I don't know, but when it came to Sierra and Colton, Gabby chose Colton. Now, when Sierra went to help Colton, she could have gotten killed, which, could also speak to Isaiah 13:15. Now, when they leave the tunnels, we see them in Mexico overlooking the hills in a small town with houses built on the hills in the distance. I personally would have first cleared the tunnels where Colton and his crew were, gotten some supplies before traveling into Mexico. Some people would have possibly taken the idea to, just clear the tunnels as much as they could and, stay in the tunnels. Now, in either scenario, I personally wouldn't have stayed because, again, if y'all found the tunnels, someone else would eventually find them. And, just you two, so are you going to recruit or, what, it kind of would have been too much. But, maybe got some supplies, maybe stayed the night, and then, moved on to Mexico. Now, if you saw Fear the Walking Dead, you would know that Mexico was just as bad in the regarding the zombie apocalypse as the original Walking Dead series. But moving from place to place is scriptural, per 2 Ezra chapter 16:40. O my people, hear my word. Make you ready to thy battle, and even be as pilgrims upon the earth. So, moving from place to place with the ability to adapt to different locations, to terrains, and conditions is something that we're going to have to cope with. So, in conclusion, what do we have? We have two women who formed a mutually beneficial alliance that wasn't without the risk. An alliance where very few have the luxury of, an alliance that very few will have the luxury of forming. An alliance that quickly became fragile when old ties arose with the introduction of Colton, who didn't waste any time showing the children of Israel Edom's true intentions in times of desperation. Colton is the kind of Edomite who smiles at us in the office or in the park, that kind that wouldn't hesitate to end any one of us if it threatens his spot in a secure bunker. The kind of Edomite that we see every day as we cover the news and continue to see. This is the kind of Edomite that will quickly draw a wedge in any loose alliance that was formed between two parties who are not in the truth nor understand Bible prophecy. As the time progresses in the current world, our circle of true friends, families, and allies will quickly become smaller, and we will know which line, which part of the sand they are on and we are on. Knowing the difference of the line of demarcation will become imperative as we continue to enter Jacob's trouble. So, with that, I yield and I'll pass it over to the Mike or Ben. If you guys want to break down any precepts or any thoughts on the passage, and bring up anyone if you have any questions or comments that you want to add to the discussion concerning this short film. Mike or Ben?
Yeah. Um, yeah. Um, yeah. I saw this. When you originally posted it. Of course, I'm I'm gonna go into the part of just the sister trusting there you go, these white women again. So yeah, like when I first saw it, I thought about, soon as she discovered the white woman, she probably should have ended her there, and been on her way. But us as our, sympathetic nature, we always want to help people, we want to be very friendly. She allowed the cleaver, which this Edomite woman was, cleaving to her throughout all of the, just in every type of situation. She was actually it was one part of the movie where she actually was I think she gave the girl the gun, I want to say, and she was waiting for her to shoot the zombie, and the white girl was just there in her normal Becky role, just about the zombie, was on a chain. And that was when her her Edomite boyfriend actually appeared and shot the zombie, I believe. But yeah, so trusting as we are, and these things, I guess will change as we go along and the spirit gets on us, because it just put the sister in a whole lot of situations. It was just, throughout the whole situation, it was just like every step of the way, it just seems like, more they got into more peril because of just her allowing this Edomite to cleave to her. She could have been better on her own. And like you mentioned, there was a lot of situations that um you know you might want to, you'll have more understanding as far as you going along, preparing yourself as to direction you're traveling in, being aware of certain type of things that they was just I mean, I was thinking about just the tripwire that they went over, and I mean, that could have been, all type of crazy, but it did turn out, not to be so bad. It's just a lot of things. When you're with someone that is not supposed to be with you, they give away your location. They cause you to they may cause you to miss out on things that you would normally be prepared for. So you got to be mindful of when you are in a situation like this. Um, is this person more of a is this person more of, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, is they really adding to your
Asset.
asset, right? Or asset, or just a liability. Because that's what it
Uh,
seemed like. That with this girl became more of a liability, and by and almost cost her life several times, the sister life several times. And some of the things that you would have to know is, you're gonna learn off of experience, because the training that you should be preparing yourself for it when this happens is things that you should learn from people that are more experienced than you. This girl offered her nothing. So you got to understand that someone that is not adding to your camp, I would reiterate, is a liability. You don't want to keep anyone with you that is going to slow you down, that is going to drop your overall awareness and alert. You don't want these people with you. Let alone it being people of other nation. You definitely don't want that. So, yeah, that was the main things that I seen throughout the movie. I would always, uh, you know, go to those old reliable, precepts, of course. Namely, one of my favorite. You know, what is that? Chirac 12 and 10, of course. Never trust thine
Con.
enemy. You know, and I think Leo brought out those that should be found, Isaiah that shall be thrust through, and I would couple that with Sirach 12 and 13. Who would pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? Because no one's gonna feel sorry for you if you have these cleavers with you and you're in a time of calamity, and you take on these people. So you gotta shed these people. These people are going to be looking for you. You don't want to give them aid. You don't want to give them your food. You don't want to give them your time. You don't want to give them your attention. Really, you want to be mindful of them, but you don't want to stop for them, because this sister could have been along the way with her. I think at the time she had a firearm. These was tools that she was using, dealing with this girl that was basically being, it was the double betrayal, because, like, you can't trust her, but then you trust her, and then her crazy Edomite friend, and she's battling with him, and then you got her again. So it's just, it's the sister I felt could have avoided all of it, but I know for sake of the movie, it was just, basically showing you that you're showing us that we don't need to be around these people. But also, just the things that Leo was talking about. um you got to take the time to learn these things, and I know a lot of us don't feel that we need to know these things, as far as, like, how to maybe suture a wound, or close up a wound, or repair a broken leg or a sprained leg, so that you can continue to be mobile. These type of things you need to take time to learn from elders and from people that is more experienced than you. Know how to find direction um in darkness, as well as you know um on days in bad weather, where you don't have a compass or anything like that. So these are things that we need to take account for. It was a precept that I wanted to bring out. Deuteronomy 32:7. It says, remember, Deuteronomy 32:7. Remember the days of old. Consider thy years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. Right? So we always want to ask our elders and ask the people that is more experienced than us. If they don't have to be old people all the time, they, elder is someone that is above you in knowledge or above you in understanding. So you can, it could be an elder in just in something that you are going in that you are, you're not proficient in, right? Let me get one more. Um, Salakia. Uh, do, 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 do. What did I want? Bear with me, Salakia. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Um, yeah, like these classes, okay. This is a Shirach 8 and 9. It says, "Miss not the discourse of elders, for they also learned of their fathers, and of them thou shalt learn understanding and to give answer as need requireth." Right? You want to be amongst people that have understanding of these things so that you can apply these things in times. You know, a lot of these things when you learn it of people that have understanding, um, you will be able to you would probably think I ain't gonna get that, I ain't gonna know that in that time, and it just comes to you automatically. You know what I'm saying? Like it's things that people taught me that I thought I forgot, and just when I got down to it in these certain situations, it just popped. It popped into into mind, and I was like, man, And at the time, I was like, probably, they was probably the elders was probably telling me, or the person that was more proficient in it was telling me about it, and I was like, kind of like, iffy if if I needed to know this knowledge, and is it necessary necessary knowledge. And it was a situation that it was applicable to. So that's what we want to do with these type of things. Just like these classes, you may think it's a lot of stuff going on, it's a debate I want to see and things like that, but this information is vital with the times that's coming. And you may say, why the hell am I sitting in a class and brothers are sitting up there talking about a movie that I didn't watch? But then in a situation that pops up, you're like, damn, that was that movie that Leo was talking about. I joke with people all the time. Listen, when the shit hits the fan, do not go to Leo's house. Leo's not helping you. So don't show up at Leo's door.
Man, man, I
I'm just saying. I
especially if you've
remember
been in this class. No, I'm joking,
exactly.
man.
You know what I'm
Man,
saying? Listen,
man,
listen.
yeah.
Leo, listen. This is all jokes aside. Leo don't need 12 wives and Jacob's trouble. So y'all showing up at Leo's door, it ain't gonna happen. I don't know what Leo's say. I don't know what Leo's probably saying, but don't you showing up at my door, yo, I'm gonna be on the move. You know what I'm saying? So you had the opportunity to be here, brothers too. Don't be calling. Listen, if you ain't got your shit together, don't wait till Jacob's trouble or whatever happens. EMP attack to be like trying to see if your phone working and see if brother Ben or brother Mike is available to run over to what happened in the class that was so much months ago. So with all these things that brothers taking their times out to put on these YouTubes, it's nothing to review it while you going over some paperwork at your house, or just put on your headphones and move around your yard or work on your car and throw it on. I grab my tablet or my phone when I'm working on my car and just throw it on the car and listen. It's nothing to do. And these things will be just overviews of things that you can just apply and remember that you are able to do. So that's really the piece. That's all I really want to say. I yield.
Con. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I just had two precepts, just real quick. One would be Isaiah 26:20. Just dealing with hiding yourself during those times, and kind of using subtlety. I felt like the sister one should have shot that other woman at the beginning, like of a movie, just to be real with you. But I'm gonna read Isaiah 26:20. It says, "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee, Hide thyself as if it, as as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed. So during those times we're really gonna want to hide ourselves. Not make yourself visible. Don't be out on main streets. Really kind of just be incognito. And the next precept, I only had two, would be Ecclesiastes 7:26. um, I don't know if it's just the spirit. A lot of these movies that Leo brings out, it really showcases that um, the white woman's the devil, as well as her man. But it really showcases that the white woman is the devil. And it reads Ecclesiastes 7:26, and I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands are as bands. Whoso pleaseth God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. So yeah, now basically a lot of times, like, women can, sucker you into situations through subtlety and through charm. And during Jacob's trouble, man or women, a lot of us have like a natural compassionate spirit, but keep that compassion only for like your people. So with that, I yield.
And real quick before I give it to Brother Miles, that Isaiah 20 and 26, I think that's something that we should be, you know, practicing now. Not saying, oh, stay in your house, don't leave, don't, we know we still got, go to the grocery store and work and things like that. But as Brother Ben brings out, this is a bloody summer, like going to like a sporting event or going to a concert is, you know, you know, I definitely we exercise caution, and not saying again I'm not being paranoid, but again it's just the times that we're in and unnecessary trips and things like that. Not saying don't go on a trip, not like a vacation or something. Not saying that, but things to where large crowds are, and something more than likely, and are olden in our with the old man, he or she would definitely want to go to that event, or that concert or whatever. It just wouldn't be wise. It's really late in the game, just from everything else we're seeing, from a global and domestic perspective, to be going to something that's just highly unnecessary. Again, not to say you shouldn't, if you can get away for a weekend, you and your friends or whatever, something relaxing, and not being wicked or whatever, take advantage of it, because once it's really time to be in the house, that's it. There's no more. Oh, I wish I needed 2 more weeks to fully prepare or whatever. And the thing at that, if you're genuinely trying, the Lord will add to you. The Lord will add to you, or make sure you go without. But speaking more to those who don't want to be the ant, they still want to have hot girl summer or whatever. So, Brother Mouse, you want to share your thoughts? What did you think? Like, dislike, any precepts?
Con. Yeah, I just wanted to support what King Ben is saying. Don't wait till the last minute, right? And the classic precept, Second Esdras 16:40. Oh, my people, hear my word. Make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. That's it saying right there. Make you ready to the battle, you know, before the battle starts, right? So that's all I got.
Con. And one of the key words in that scripture is thy battle. Like, make you ready to thy battle. So, I mean, people can spiritualize that passage, but if you keep reading, it gets physical. And if you read in context the previous verses and chapters, looks like pretty physical to me. So you know, and with this one, some couple things as Ben and Mike was talking. I guess some things that popped out is I think she got enticed by the tunnels, because she was literally telling the woman, go your way. Why are you following me? I don't need any help. but then she got coaxed into the tunnels, which again, assuming it can be assumed that she didn't have any family or anywhere else to go because that's where she went, to the tunnels. So again, the Most High is going to lead us where He wants us to go during this time. But to if the thought was I'm going to the tunnels because I believe what she said because it's safer, it's not. I mean, if you've seen this series, the first couple of seasons, Mexico was just as dangerous as the people from the other series. When they were dealing with Atlanta and Virginia. So every place is going to have their own unique circumstances. And for the sister, I don't know if she spoke Spanish, but the language barrier is going to be an additional hurdle that you have to conquer. So in Fear the Walking Dead series, they were in Mexico and, they kind of got over the language barrier or whatever. Some people spoke English. They were in some areas where, some of the, I guess locals spoke English. So that wasn't that big of a deal. But again, there were a lot of people that didn't speak English and were speaking Spanish. So, that language barrier would be an additional thing, if you're not a fluent speaker that you would have to, deal with, if you're crossing into, you know, another country. So, is there any other comments, questions, or things y'all thought about the show? So again, when it said all 16 parts or whatever, that was it. That when they got into out of the tunnels, that was it. So it was like a mini webisode. So like each webisode was like a minute long, which makes I don't understand that. So they just broke up 13 minutes of footage of a short movie into 13 episodes, which each episode lasted a minute. So hopefully that doesn't become a thing because it was pretty annoying. But is there any other comments about the film or questions you guys have concerning some of the things we brought out? Any questions? Okay. With that, I'll yield, and Brother Ben, you can close us out.
Con. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So. Yeah. I hope everybody, if they didn't see it, go back and look through the videos. I did pin it. Pin the website into the telechat. If not, if you don't have access to the website, I can just contact me via on IG or the Thy Kingdom Come Gmail, and I'll send you a link to the website so you can view. Yeah, I think it was a very good review. I look forward to them all. Some more, and we have all of them uploaded. Everything is up to date on the YouTube. This one will be uploaded momentarily. Uh, and it'll be on it's two separate playlists: Jacob's Trouble and the Jacob movie review playlist. So you can get up to date with volumes 1 through 5 through the Jacob's movie review list, and for the Jacob's Trouble volumes 1 through I believe I think we're up to, are we up to 12?
Yeah, 12. Yeah, 12.
12, right, right. Well, up to 12 for the Jacob's Trouble um, classes. And that's really it. We'll be back tomorrow for Mid Morning Brew. Um, Make sure you're following, as always, Thy Kingdom Come. Also, tomorrow we have on the forum, we have those rooms coming up. So look out for those. I believe Brother Quan dipped out. He got a room open in the night for the brothers. Oh, also, let me not forget. Today is Tuesday, correct? Just before everybody leave out, we do have another sisters trauma class coming up tomorrow, so don't want to forget that. Everybody, just make sure they pass the information along. Those have been very good for our sisters. It'll be part 3, I believe, of the trauma series. That'll be tomorrow night. Salakia. Give me 1 second. for everybody that's in here. I did post it on the IG, so you can go to the Thy Kingdom Come IG and see. Uh, it'll be on the 1/3 platform, and that'll be the third installment of the trauma series with Sister Zebulon and Sister Halima. Sisters Only Trauma Series Part 3. And that'll be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 1/3 platform. So make sure you go over there. And if you're not a member, it's down in my bio. Go down and become a member of the 1/3. Follow all of the clubs down there. I think everybody in here probably already are, but it's just a little reminder for tomorrow. Something real important for the sisters. So we look forward to that. So with that being said, want to give all praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai for allowing us to be able to bring you these Jacob Trouble classes, Brother Leo for his hard work. And yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna say Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.